Fame sells a powerful illusion. Perfect faces, perfect bodies, perfect confidence. But behind the flawless images and carefully crafted public personas, there is a truth far darker than most people ever imagine. For many black celebrities, success did not silence insecurity. Fame did not protect them. And beauty, once altered, came with consequences no one warned them about. Some believed a small change would help them survive an unforgiving industry. Others were chasing acceptance in a world that constantly told them they were not enough. What followed were transformations that didn't just change faces, they changed careers, public perception, and in some cases, their sense of self forever. A few stories on this list are far more disturbing than anyone expected, especially the one near the end. So, settle in, because we're pulling back the curtain on 11 celebrities whose pursuit of perfection came at a devastating cost. Quick reminder, subscribing is easier than surviving fame. Now, let's begin with a woman who once ruled hip-hop, until the spotlight turned on her face instead of her talent. To the world, Lil Kim was untouchable, the queen bee of hip-hop. Bold, fearless, unapologetic. At the height of her fame in the late 1990s and early 2000s, she wasn't just making hits, she was redefining what power looked like for women in rap. But behind the confidence and provocative image was a woman quietly battling deep insecurity. Lil Kim later revealed that years of criticism, abusive relationships, and constant scrutiny over her appearance had slowly eroded her self-worth. In an industry that already held black women to impossible beauty standards, every comment cut deeper. The pressure to look perfect never stopped. What began as subtle cosmetic changes soon escalated. Her face changed dramatically over time, so much so that fans struggled to recognize her. Talk shows, blogs, and social media stopped discussing her music and started dissecting her appearance frame by frame. Memes replaced admiration. Headlines replaced respect. Instead of celebrating her influence on hip-hop culture, the public fixated on her face. Interviews became uncomfortable. Performances were overshadowed by whispers and shock. Lil Kim found herself fighting to be heard in an industry she once dominated. Years later, she admitted that the surgeries did not bring peace, only regret. The transformation she hoped would silence criticism only amplified it. Lil Kim didn't lose her talent. She lost control of the narrative. And once Hollywood decides to define you by your appearance, taking that power back is nearly impossible. But if you think Lil Kim's story is tragic, the next one proves that even being born into music royalty doesn't protect you from the same fate. To the public, Black Chyna was never invisible. She built her name on bold confidence, sharp business instincts, and a look that demanded attention. From music videos to reality television, she understood one rule of fame better than most: visibility is currency. But visibility can turn cruel when the image changes too fast. As her fame grew, so did her physical transformations. Breast augmentations, facial alterations, body enhancements that gradually reshaped her into someone fans barely recognized. Each change sparked another wave of headlines, memes, and online ridicule. Instead of discussing her businesses or entrepreneurial moves, the conversation shifted almost entirely to her body. Side-by-side photos flooded social media. Comment sections turned brutal. The woman who once controlled her image became trapped inside it. Behind the scenes, Black Chyna later admitted that the surgeries were not just about beauty. They were about survival in an industry that rewards extremes. Standing still meant fading away. Changing meant staying relevant. But the cost was steep. Her public image fractured. Opportunities narrowed. What once felt like power slowly turned into a punchline. Eventually, she made a shocking decision to reverse multiple procedures and publicly step away from the image that made her famous. It wasn't a rebrand. It was damage control. Black Chyna didn't lose attention. She lost control of how that attention defined her. You think altering your body for fame is extreme? Stay tuned, you will hear about the next celebrity who risked something far more dangerous than public opinion. To fans, Tiny was always familiar. A successful R&B singer, a reality TV staple, and one half of a power couple, her image felt stable, recognizable, and safe in the public eye. Then she made a decision that stunned everyone. Tiny underwent a controversial procedure to permanently change her eye color to an icy blue. Not contacts, not filters, surgery. A high-risk operation that doctors warned could result in severe complications, including vision loss. The reaction was immediate and brutal. Fans questioned her motives. Medical professionals raised alarms. Social media turned her eyes into a spectacle, dissected frame by frame. Instead of conversations about her music or career, everything revolved around one unsettling question: why would anyone risk their eyesight for attention? Tiny later admitted she understood the dangers. She knew the risks. But in an industry obsessed with standing out, being different can feel like survival. Subtlety doesn't trend. Extremes do. What was meant to be a personal choice quickly became a defining headline. Her appearance overshadowed decades of work. Concern replaced admiration. Shock replaced respect. Unlike other transformations, this one couldn't be hidden under makeup or lighting. Every appearance reminded the public of the gamble she took and the line she crossed. Tiny didn't just change how she looked, she changed how people talked about her. And while Tiny risked her vision for attention, the next story reveals what happens when cosmetic surgery doesn't just shock, it scars. To reality TV audiences, Hazel E was always outspoken, unfiltered, confident, unafraid of confrontation. On Love and Hip Hop, she built her presence through personality, not subtlety. But off camera, a different battle was unfolding. Hazel E underwent multiple cosmetic procedures, hoping to enhance her look and secure her place in a ruthless reality TV ecosystem. Instead, the surgeries left visible damage. Her face changed unevenly, complications followed. Recovery became painful and public. Unlike most celebrities, Hazel didn't hide the aftermath. She appeared on camera swollen, emotional, and struggling. Viewers watched in real time as confidence gave way to fear. Castmates commented. Social media dissected every frame. The damage wasn't just physical, it was psychological. Hazel later spoke about the pain, the regret, and the realization that chasing perfection had pushed her into a corner she never expected. The surgeries that were supposed to protect her relevance became the very reason she was ridiculed. Reality television thrives on vulnerability, but this was something else. Her story turned into a cautionary tale, replayed across blogs and clips, often stripped of empathy. The focus was no longer on her music or personality, but on the consequences written across her face. Hazel E didn't lose fame overnight. She lost privacy, control, and the ability to heal quietly. Reality television can be brutal, but the next story proves something even darker. When cosmetic surgery doesn't happen all at once, but quietly reshapes a face year after year, until even longtime fans struggle to recognize the person they once admired. For years, Nene Leakes was impossible to ignore. Sharp wit, loud confidence, a presence that dominated reality television. On The Real Housewives of Atlanta, she wasn't just a cast member, she was the moment. But fame has a way of demanding reinvention. Nene was open about undergoing cosmetic procedures, including a nose job and facial enhancements. At first, the changes were subtle, almost unnoticeable. Over time, they weren't. Season after season, viewers began to notice her face shifting. Comments grew louder. Side by side, comparisons spread online. The conversation around Nene slowly drifted away from her humor and toward her appearance. What made it more complicated was her transparency. Nene never denied the procedures. She framed them as self-care, as confidence, as ownership over her body. Some fans respected the honesty. Others felt the changes erased the woman they first connected with. Reality TV thrives on authenticity. But cosmetic surgery blurred that line. Instead of being praised for her longevity and influence, Nene became another headline in a culture obsessed with faces aging on camera. The laughter faded. Criticism took its place. Nene didn't lose her voice. She lost the freedom to be seen without being scrutinized. Public opinion can be unforgiving. The next story shows what happens when fans don't just question your choices, they mourn the face they believe you lost. For a long time, Vivica A. Fox represented a very specific kind of Hollywood beauty. Elegant, confident, timeless. From Independence Day to Set It Off and Kill Bill, she carried herself with a presence that felt both powerful and unmistakably familiar. She was never chasing trends. She was the standard. But Hollywood rarely allows women to age quietly. As the years passed, Vivica began making subtle cosmetic changes, likely in an attempt to preserve the image the industry had rewarded for decades. At first, fans barely noticed. Then the changes became harder to ignore. Her face appeared tighter. Expressions looked restrained. Interviews sparked uncomfortable reactions online. Longtime admirers began asking the same question: why fix something that was never broken? Unlike scandal-driven transformations, Vivica's case was quieter, almost sadder. There were no shocking headlines, only disappointment. Fans didn't mock her. They mourned the gradual loss of a face they felt emotionally connected to. Roles became less frequent. Conversations shifted. Instead of praising her legacy, people speculated about procedures. Her talent remained intact, but attention drifted elsewhere. Vivica didn't disappear from Hollywood. She slowly faded from the version of it that once celebrated her. Aging in Hollywood is unforgiving. The next story proves that sometimes the damage isn't just emotional, it becomes physical. K. Michelle never struggled to be heard. Her voice was raw, emotional, and unmistakable. Songs like Can't Raise a Man and V.S.O.P. turned her into one of the most recognizable voices in modern R&B, while reality television amplified her honesty and pain. Fame came fast. Pressure followed even faster. At the height of her visibility, Michelle made a decision that would quietly derail everything cosmetic implants meant to enhance her body and match the image expected of women in the spotlight. For a while, she embraced the change. Confidence appeared intact. Appearances continued. Then her health began to collapse. She later revealed that the implants caused severe pain, complications, and long-term physical damage. Daily life became a struggle. Performing became exhausting. What was sold as a beauty upgrade turned into a medical nightmare. Unlike many celebrities, Michelle chose honesty over silence. She publicly spoke about the suffering, the regret, and the reality that beauty standards had pushed her toward a decision that nearly destroyed her health. Eventually, she had the implants removed, choosing survival over image. The damage, however, had already been done. Momentum slowed. Headlines shifted. Her story became less about music and more about warning others of the cost behind cosmetic shortcuts. Michelle didn't lose her talent. She almost lost her body trying to protect her career. Physical pain leaves scars you can't hide. The next story shows how emotional damage can be just as destructive, especially when the internet never forgets. At her peak, Lil Mo's voice was everywhere. Strong, emotional, and instantly recognizable, she dominated early 2000s R&B with hits that made vulnerability sound powerful. She wasn't just featured on songs, she became the emotional core of them. But fame is rarely kind to women who refuse to fit neatly into an image. As the years passed, Lil Mo began undergoing cosmetic procedures that gradually altered her face. The changes were noticeable, then unavoidable. Online commentary turned cruel. Side-by-side photos spread, jokes replaced empathy. Unlike celebrities shielded by massive teams, Lil Mo faced the backlash head-on. Her appearance became internet content. Memes, punchlines. What once felt like admiration curdled into mockery. Conversations about her voice, her lyrics, and her influence quietly disappeared. Behind the jokes was a woman absorbing years of humiliation. Lil Mo later admitted that the criticism cut deeply. The surgeries were never about vanity alone, they were about trying to survive in a culture that equates youth and beauty with relevance. Instead, the changes stripped her of control over her own narrative. Opportunities slowed, visibility faded, the industry moved on. Lil Mo didn't vanish because she lacked talent. She vanished because the spotlight turned unforgiving. Mockery can erase careers. The next story reveals what happens when controversy follows you everywhere, yet somehow, fame refuses to let go. From the moment she entered the industry, Nicki Minaj was never subtle. Her voice, her personas, her fashion, everything was larger than life. She didn't just break into hip-hop, she bulldozed the door down. Talent was never the question. As her fame exploded, so did speculation about her appearance. Her body became a headline of its own. Every red carpet sparked debate. Every performance triggered side-by-side comparisons. Online, people argued endlessly about what was real and what wasn't. Nicki never offered clear answers, and she didn't need to. In many ways, controversy became part of the brand. While critics fixated on her curves, Nicki kept releasing hits, touring globally, and dominating charts. The conversation around her body often drowned out discussions about her lyricism and work ethic, but it never stopped her momentum. Still, the cost was constant scrutiny. Unlike others on this list, Nicki survived the storm. But survival came with a trade-off. Her appearance was dissected more than her artistry. Praise was often conditional. Respect came with an asterisk. Nicki Minaj didn't lose her career. She paid for it by never being left alone. Constant scrutiny can harden some people. For others, it exposes something far more fragile, even in the most powerful men in music. Kanye West was never supposed to be vulnerable. To the world, he was untouchable. A musical genius, a cultural disruptor, someone who built empires by refusing to apologize for who he was. Confidence was the brand. Control was the image. That's why his confession shocked so many. Kanye revealed that he underwent liposuction not for vanity, but out of fear. Fear of ridicule. Fear of headlines. Fear of being mocked by a culture that tears men apart just as mercilessly as women, only in quieter ways. He admitted the decision came from emotional pain, not insecurity he wanted to acknowledge publicly. The pressure to maintain an image, to appear flawless, had finally cracked something beneath the surface. Unlike others, Kanye didn't hide behind silence. His admission reframed the conversation. This wasn't about extreme transformation or visible damage. It was about the psychological cost of fame, about how even the most powerful figures can feel hunted by public judgment. The reaction was divided. Some saw honesty, others saw weakness. In a world that expects men, especially black men, to appear unbreakable, vulnerability became another risk. Kanye didn't lose his influence overnight. He revealed the cracks behind it. And once those cracks are visible, the myth of invincibility is gone forever. Power doesn't protect you from pressure. The final story proves that growing up under the brightest spotlight can quietly reshape a face and a life over decades. Latoya Jackson was born into a spotlight few people could survive. As a member of the Jackson family, fame wasn't a goal, it was a condition of existence. From childhood, her face, her body, and her choices were never truly her own. While her siblings dominated music and pop culture, Latoya lived under constant comparison. Every appearance was measured, every feature scrutinized. The pressure to fit an ideal never stopped. Over the years, her face changed slowly, then unmistakably. Multiple cosmetic procedures reshaped her features again and again. Each change sparked new headlines, new speculation, new discomfort from fans who no longer recognized her. Unlike sudden transformations, Latoya's story unfolded quietly and painfully over decades. The surgeries didn't create scandal, they created distance. Distance between who she was and who the public remembered. Distance between her identity and her reflection. What was once curiosity turned into unease. For Latoya, cosmetic surgery wasn't about chasing relevance. It was about surviving inside a family and an industry that demanded perfection at any cost. She didn't collapse publicly, she faded slowly. And sometimes, that is the cruelest outcome of all. When the lights fade and the cameras stop rolling, what remains isn't fame, it's the person left to live with the consequences. The stories you've seen today aren't about vanity, they're about pressure, about an industry that rewards perfection but punishes humanity. For these celebrities, altering their appearance was never just a choice. It was a response to constant judgment, impossible standards, and fear of being forgotten. Some survived, some paid a heavier price. All of them were changed. Hollywood sells transformation as power. But as these stories prove, the cost is often identity, peace, and control. So now the question is yours to answer. Which story disturbed you the most? And who do you think deserves a deeper dive in a future video? If you found this journey into Hollywood's darker truths compelling, consider subscribing. It helps the channel more than you know. Because chasing perfection may be optional, but understanding its cost is not.